the source, the energy, vibrating with every atom, cell, and tissue of each one's being. And we are grateful and give great thanks as I release this word into the creative law of mind and action, demonstrating that good right here and right now. And so it is. And so it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Robert. Thank you so much. Before we go into tonight's lesson, I'd like to remind us of two major activities we have coming up. We have our party this Sunday, and we have gotten everything arranged and waiting for all of you. Sunday, July 11, immediately after the Sunday gathering. And we have our class coming up, and that's the power of decision. I would like Reverend Judith. Hello, Reverend Judith. Good evening. If you don't mind, can you tell us a little expectations, things we expect to learn from the class that is coming up, the power of decision? Hello, Reverend Judith. Okay, maybe while we're waiting for Reverend Judith, Reverend Robert, if you don't mind, to just give us a little things to expect during this class, highlights of the power of decision class. She's still trying to.
So, okay, so the class is Tuesday, July 13th, it starts. It's from 3 to 5 in the afternoon. It's The Power of Decision by Raymond Charles Barker. And I've already been making some new decisions, and I've been already demonstrating the new decisions just by working on the class and to present it to you all. So I ask that those of you, I believe if you're on Twitter and Facebook, they can register and be on the call. So please email the center with your email so we could send you the important information that you will need for the class. And of course, those of you on Zoom, we invite you to sign up and join us. So the class is, again, the power of decisions, how important it is to make a decision, and how less important it is to not make a decision. That's even worse than not making a decision is worse than making the wrong decision. So we're going to talk about all that. There are exercises we're going to do. There's meditations that we're going to do. There's sharing that we're going to do. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I'm thrilled that Reverend Greg has asked me to be a part of this with Reverend Judith. Reverend Judith, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I'm very,
yes?
But no, I've got 3 things going on and it's not working out. But you said it all. Oh my gosh. Oh.
We'll echo there.
Just go.
All right.
Okay.
Did you want to say something about the class, the upcoming class coming up?
No, I think you said it all, except,
okay.
Well, no, you said it was going to be wonderful, informative, and a wonderful teaching for us to grow more from.
Great.
So just come.
Thanks.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much, Reverend Robert. For some people have called and want to register for the class, I will put our PayPal details on the chat room. You can pay directly through our website, Facebook, and I'll be able to track the payments. So we have the PayPal details, our payment details, the link on the chat room, or if you visit any of our social media platforms, our website, our Facebook, our YouTube, you see links for payment. Any payments made there, I'll be able to see it and I'll confirm the payments to you. Thank you so much. Yeah, okay. I'd like to invite Dr. Greg for the lesson today. It's entitled Exciting Change. Dr. Greg.
This is the most recent. Where's the lesson? Hi, everybody. Welcome to First Center for Spiritual Living in New York. This is our Louise Hay class that meets every Thursday night. I've been involved with this class in some way, shape, or form since 1986 or 1987, when the book first started hitting the spiritual centers all over the nation. Louise Hay, incidentally, many of you know who are part of our center, but for those of you who are now listening on YouTube and also Facebook and Instagram, the great Louise Hay actually studied here with us, and she became a practitioner with us, and her work went on to be one of the best-selling books of all time, something like 66 million copies. And she was essentially teaching the science of mind, and that's what we teach. And the name of her book was called You Can Heal Your Life. And so I really resonated with her all those years ago because she made the science of mind very, very easy to understand. And if you read it and you can just take in what she was talking about, you will change your life, you'll heal your life. So tonight we'll talk about the changes that are going on and how to deal with them and how to see them differently. I have a lesson that I've worked on before and it's become too much. So I'm going to give you some of the things I've learned. As we approach this teaching, we intend to learn how to be happy, joyous, and free. We're here tonight with another live Zoom, Facebook presentation, again on YouTube, also Instagram. And our audience is growing. Here we are in New York City. This was the former great First Church of Religious Science. Now we call ourselves First Center for Spiritual Living. And if you're listening on the other social platforms, you can always send us a request to be part of the Zoom. Because if you're part of the Zoom, you can be part of the family, so to speak. You can interact with one another. But however you're listening to us and wherever you're listening to us, we're very glad you found us. So we're going to get into tonight's lesson on change and dealing with change. And I think this is an exciting night. It's always a great night to be talking about the possibilities that exist for us. And I'm noticing that New York is alive, and it's really exciting because it hasn't felt this way in so long. And as I was thinking today about New York being so alive, I want you to all know that you are all equally alive. You know, hopefully you're starting to get a sense of that. And I know people have been dormant, and some of my friends have been in shutdown and lockdown, and you know, they're living in a reality, and now it's time to challenge yourself to get out and to, you know, turn on the engine, get yourself excited about your life. One thing I noticed as a person of a certain number of years is a couple of years went by, and that's okay. They go by. You know, the alternative isn't too good if they didn't. But the thing is, I want to have them be full of life. And don't you? I mean, isn't it time for you to get excited about the most important person in your world? I hope so. I hope you're excited about your life. So we're full of aliveness. That's a word that I've used in many groups over many years. We're full of aliveness. It's a good word, one to remember. And it's a good word to remind yourself of, that you're full of life and aliveness. And to know that the universe is always evolving in your very life. And you're always dealing with change, whether you know it or not, and whether you like it or not. I think the year 2020 proved that to everybody beyond a doubt, because everybody was faced with change, right? All of us had to step up and get used to new things. Every single one of us in some way was dealing with change this past year, and have learned to embrace change. The spiritual centers are changing all over the nation and all over the world. The churches are changing. we think in terms of spiritual centers because we're a new thought organization. Spiritual centers are changing. Many of the ones I've known since I was a younger person, a younger minister, have been closed for good. Lots and lots of them don't exist anymore. And that saddens me, but I know, I know that's the way of most churches and a lot of centers, and it saddens me. But the thing I know, like Raymond Charles Barker, our founding pastor, said, we have a rich father. And really what he was meaning by that is that we are supplied and supported in New York City. And we know that we are. And we know that we're the center of everything here. And we know that that we have the means to learn what we need to learn, to evolve and grow and to serve a new audience, a new age group, and to be so inclusive that we can include everybody and leave no one out. We don't take positions here because we love life and we love everybody. And we see this center as thriving and inviting everybody in. So we're learning that the future of many of the centers that survive will be virtual. And we will always have our beloved studio audience. Tonight, we've got some people here. And each week, we're having more people show up. And the big revelation to most of the ministers who are with it, who haven't had their head in the sand, is it's not going to be like it was before. The future will be, you're going to be ministering to a virtual audience. And so I want to say, any of you listening now tonight on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, send in a membership request. We'd be happy to have a new member. And if you're in California or Canada, or one of the callers are in England, we welcome you to be a part of our community and to be a member. So send us a request and we will include you. So we see ourselves as being a center of light and a center where we can teach you the teaching that we so love and include you. And once again, ask to be a part of the Zoom calls because they're more fun. I mean, it's really great that you're listening a month from now, some of you, but send in the invitation, say, I want to be a member, or say, I would like to be on the Zoom calls. We also have a wonderful communication that goes out mostly every week, full of spiritual gems, and reach out and then we can get you all connected. Also, we meet every Sunday at 10:30. So my suggestion, if you want to have a better life in a quicker kind of way, the more plugged in that you are, the quicker it will happen. Something I learned in this teaching a long, long time ago, when we're given circumstances that we think are unpleasant or unwanted events happen in our life. I didn't know this when I was a younger person, but what I know now is that there will always, always be a way with those unpleasant circumstances for us to step up, and there will always be something to learn from the unpleasantness. There will be something of great value that will come to you through any of those types of circumstances. So I'll say it in a different way. There is a gift in all things. Now that's really the way it works. It takes some spiritual understanding to fully accept the statements I've just made, and to understand that all circumstances and happenings in your life ultimately lift you to a higher place of wisdom and understanding. Well, it takes a lot. That's a person who has quite exceptional consciousness. But that's really who people on this call become. You become people with exceptional consciousness. And now, I know those of you I see, and the ones I hear from, most of you that I can see here have definitely done some work on themselves, right? And I know that. And it's to your credit, and you know the value of this teaching. And so when people come in, I just say, stay with it. Just come back next week, plug in on Sunday, plug in on Thursday. We're going to have spiritual groups for women. We're going to have spiritual groups for different age groups and people with men supporting men and recovery groups. We intend to have something for everybody. The thing is, just join wherever you can and as often as you can, because really what you want to do is you want to keep reminding you of the greatness that you possess, the truth of your being. So you can awaken from those stories of ain't it awful and poor me and, and all of that stuff. I remember an old joke someone told me, because this teaching for me now is really amazing and I have a lot of positive expectancy and it's just the gift of the teaching, but it wasn't always that way. So I remember an old joke someone told me, I didn't change because I saw the light. I changed because I felt the heat. And so it's true. Some people go through an awful lot of pain, right? And suffering to get to a place where they really are willing to let go of a person, a job, relationship, where it's just too much. And you realize, my God, this is my life and I'm just existing in too much anguish. And I didn't change in my life because I saw the light. I changed because things were getting too rough and I needed to change and I wanted to change. So what has to happen for any of us and all of us, if we really wanted to have the exceptional life that this teaching affords, is there needs to be a real willingness to surrender the junk. Now you might say, what kind of word is junk? Surrender the racket is what they would say in landmark education. Or some of my other friends, surrender the mess. Now you can only imagine what that is. Everybody knows what that is, right? It's whatever the heck you're doing and saying and you're about that's getting in the way of you demonstrating the kind of life that you were meant to have. If you're all embroiled in controversy all the time with people and you're fighting every fight that there could be fought, and you're letting yourself be dissipated in 1,000 different ways, then I would suggest take stock, take a look, and realize you are a point of awareness in the mind of God. You can slow it all down, you can calm down, and you can become a director of energy. Ernest Holmes said that he really taught us how to use our executive power. The question is never power. You as a spiritual being, as an individualization of life itself, of God itself, have enough power to move a mountain, to heal anything, to do anything. It's that we don't really know how to utilize the power. So there's power for good and we can definitely use it. But first of all, you don't believe it, you don't know how to use it. And so you keep spinning the same old stuff, the same old racket, and the same resentments and the same beliefs and the same everything. And then there's that old corny expression, same song, different verse, a little bit louder, a little bit worse. So you just keep playing on the same old stuff. And here's the thing, you can do that, of course, but there are people in this world who are living exceptional lives, who really can have some fun and creative time where they can be learning things and having intelligent conversations that are uplifting. And they don't have to be a part of all that mess, and you don't either. It's not necessary. So I've known people who have learned through pain. I probably would classify myself as one of them. I didn't learn because I saw the light. I learned because I felt the heat at different times in my life. And I became willing to change. And then there's other people that I've known. I don't know how it happened to them, but they've had this incredible faith since they were kids. And they didn't, you've known a few of them probably. They seem to have had these blessed lives where they seem to be exempt from stuff. And I don't know how they got that consciousness. I'm very happy for them. They amaze me. The thing I want you to know is the power and the energy, the love is equally available to every single person that has ever lived. So we come here week after week and we learn more about it and we learn how to use it. So here we are, post-COVID, with a virtual community. God knows how many people. Sometimes there's 900 people listening to us. I can't quite get my head around that. Sometimes there's 1,000. I don't know. But it's increasing. And I know there's dozens of people watching us on YouTube and these other programs, Instagram, Facebook, and people watching this class. And they will be watching this class weeks from now too. And then again, we have our own in-studio audience, and I'm really inviting all you New Yorkers to start coming in again now. And who would have ever thought that any of this would have been the case 2 years ago? Who would have thought that we would be reaching 900 or 1,000 people a week? And that number seems to be growing by hundreds every week. So that blows me away. I knew back when I came here that things had to change. I knew that this church needed to become a spiritual center. I knew that it needed to be mission driven. I knew that we had to embrace so much change. But I never knew we'd be dealing with anything like COVID. And I never knew that we would be teaching to the world, that we would be reaching people in different countries. But it's amazing. It's really cool. And it's great because I love teaching people how to heal their lives and how to experience more joy and peace and happiness and success. So COVID became a great gift for this center. What a growth opportunity, really, honestly, for all of us and everyone. I was talking to one of our trustees recently, I think it was this afternoon even, about my father, who always used to give me all these lessons. Every morning I'd call him, you all know the story, some of you do, and he would ask me about my exciting challenges. And every day I had so many, I had a lot of stuff going on, and I was always overwhelmed. And he would say, oh, good morning, Greg. What exciting challenges do you have today? And as I look back now, I think, oh, all of those conversations were so good, and they were so good for me. And all of those challenges that I thought were so terrible brought me so much strength. And I offer that to you now too, if you're going through something hard. And, you know, we've all go through things, you know, there's a gift in there for you, and you have what it takes, every single one of you. So all those years ago, when I was having all my challenges, who knew? You know, I guess my father was the only one who knew at the time. Every day we are presented with circumstances to figure out, and it's how we approach them that makes all the difference in the world. I've been teaching from Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life, since about 1987. And Louise Hay would always say to her students, trust life. It was such a simple and beautiful, clear statement. So a job ends, a relationship changes. There's been cheating and lying and craziness, and someone makes a transition that we love, and things happen, and all of that stuff is really painful stuff to go through. And there's moments where we're sad beyond words. We are spiritual, and yet we're still human, right? And we're attached to people and things that we love, and still life changes. And often we have a difficult time letting go and embracing change itself. So how can we trust life, and how do we even begin when these earth-shaking types of things happen? How do we begin to have the kind of faith that we need to have? And how do we have the peace and joy that is our birthright? How do we elevate ourselves to a place where we know nothing and no one is against us? How do we get to that place of peace and trust? I don't know if there's any quick answers to these questions, but I knew they were good questions. I do know if you stay plugged into this teaching, that's really the whole secret. That's the reason Reverend Judith is here, Joyce is here, I'm here, Robert's here, you know, because we're tough old dogs. We stay plugged in. And I've seen it the other way. I've seen people who come to this teaching, they love this teaching, they're here for a while, they disappear, and they come back 6 months later, a year later, and they have a whole new willingness to be here. So there aren't quick answers to these tough questions, but I can promise you, if you stay plugged into the teaching, you'll begin to apply the principles we teach here every single week, and things will get a lot easier for you. And there will be a quickening within you as you begin to apply and practice the things that we talk about. I promise, I don't make promises usually. I promise you it doesn't have to be hard, but I also promise you it involves a certain dedication, and that you've got to want the change. You've got to want to grow. Because if you want to grow and you're here, I promise you it's going to get better, and it will be exponential, and there will be a quickening. You might say, I've been this way for 30 years, and I'll say, it doesn't matter at all. You just join in the conversation and you begin to pay attention to what you're thinking and what you're saying, and you will begin to heal. You know, the new information that you're bringing in will start to be reflecting in your life, and you will be amazed before you're halfway through. So a lot of people talk about change, you know that, but really, oftentimes people are wanting other people to change. So I want you to know it's never going to happen that way, and it's never going to work that way. The world, I will say it here now, is perfect right now. I wish I had some big highlighted things. The world is perfect right now. And the next thing I want to say is, and so are you, every single one of you right now. The world is perfect now, and so are you. I know some of you don't believe me, and some of you don't believe that you're perfect yourselves, but it is true nonetheless, whether you believe me or not. If you just think about your life, look back 5 or 10 years. Remember what you were like, who you were hanging out with, what you were saying, and what tales you were spinning. And think now how you have grown, what the heck you've been through, and how courageous you've been, really, no matter whether you've done it through feeling the heat or whether you saw the light. You're much wiser now than what you were. You've been certainly a good friend at times. You've worked through a lot of things. You've gained a lot of understanding and a certain amount of wisdom. You're evolving in light and intelligence. Here's the thing I want you to understand. You can continue to evolve in light and in intelligence, but you can do so in a much easier way. See, if you're involved in the teaching, you're going to evolve anyway, but if you're involved in the teaching, you'll do so with a greater degree of joy and happiness and contentment. As you'll learn here, there's nothing and no one against you. So you'll start to realize that when we're having all these obstacles and problems, we've played a role in these things. So as you stay plugged into the teaching and you begin to work with your thinking, your thoughts, and you begin to practice the things that we will teach you, things will get a lot easier faster. I've got a couple little mantras for you tonight. You might repeat the mantra from Louise Hay, the affirmation, I trust the process of life. You could say that to yourself all the time. That's like my, I am supplied and supported. I trust the process of life. And then say to yourself, nothing and no one is against me. And say that until you believe it. Nothing and no one is against me. And regarding all the stuff that's going on in the world, turn on the TV. It's never going to be good news. Regarding all of that and all of that, and in all the ways people are trying to pit people against one another, that does not have to be your reality. I promise you that. I'll say it again. In the ways that the world is trying to pit itself against one another, that does not have to be your reality. I will share something important that was told to me long ago. You've heard me say it before. You can see peace instead of any and all of that. It's a really powerful statement. Just turn on any one of the major news stations and all the nonsense and garbage and opinion and all the stuff that's there to get you worked up. I'm here to tell you that you can see peace instead of any and all of that. This is a very powerful realization, and it's a healing thought. You are the only thinker in your mind. So you can see peace instead of any of it. You get to create the world. You get to be the seer. You get to be the sorcerer. You get to be the mystic. The mystic is the person who sees the good regardless. This is the high calling of the practitioner, by the way, to see the God and the good in and through all situations. And you can see peace instead of whatever it is that you've been focused on or talking about, or whatever has been disturbing you. You do have the ability to look at it a different way and elevate yourself to a different place of understanding. You can realize this famous thought from Holmes: I am cause to my own experience. And I can see peace instead of whatever it is that I've been spinning. And regarding the world itself, because some of you may think it's going to hell and society's about to just disintegrate and all that stuff that some of you will be talking about, I tell yourself to take a pause on all of it. Turn off the damn news if you can. You might want to listen to the local stuff and see about the weather. Do what you want to do. It's up to you. I know at this point in my life, I prefer to see peace. So regarding the world itself, you can begin to develop the trust and have the faith to know that everyone is evolving at their own pace and in their own way. You have this precious gift, and I'm here to remind you of it. I'm glad I can. I'm thrilled to be here. You have this precious gift called life. And you can create it with peace, joy, creativity, positive expectancy. You have the ability to have all of that. Why would you want to do it the other way? The power is with you. It doesn't matter what's going on everywhere, downtown in Detroit or in California or downtown New York. It doesn't matter what's going on anywhere. You have the ability to master the possibilities in your own life. And it doesn't matter if you're 6 or you're 60 or you're 106. You have power available to you now to use. You can step out of the cocoon that many live in with all these stories about the world and about society and who's right and who's wrong and whatever political nonsense that they're talking about. You can step out of all of that. You can begin to think your own thoughts and to challenge the thoughts that you have entertained and you have been entertaining that continually self-sabotage yourself. There's something inside of each of us, inside of me and you, that's always urging us to move forward. It's kind of like spirit's not quiet. When you're like engaged in something that's not good, it gnaws at you. It keeps bugging you until you bust free from it, because you're meant to be living your life in freedom and expressing life. You might think about this source, this creative intelligence, spirit. You can call it anything you want to call it. It doesn't need a name, but it's real and it's within you. And it's moving us all, nudging us all forward. All of life is moving forward, every person in every place. So please don't worry yourself with the world. Do the work that needs to be done with yourself, and then you will find that you are at peace with the world itself. Some people really learn about this, and as you do, there's a quickening, and then you start demonstrating things, and you have demonstrations and manifestations, and you learn how to work with the law. And you plug into this teaching and, you'll think, my God, what the heck? I'm so glad I found this place and this teaching. And as you do, there's an elevation. And what you're doing at that point, when you're so elevated, you're really co-creating life because at that point, you've aligned yourself with life itself, and you're not working against it. Many of us are still holding on to old situations, old people, ways of thinking. We're clinging to people, and we're clinging to things and clinging and clinging and clinging, and we're self-sabotaging all over the place. This teaching, if you practice it, will free you from all of this stuff and all the obstacles that cause pain and suffering. You know, I love to quote Emerson because he's one of my favorites. And at this point, he would say, the finite alone has wrought and suffered. You know, while the infinite lays back in smiling repose. You know, I can almost picture it. You know, when I'm suffering, it's because I want something to be a certain way. I really want it to be the way I want it. And the universe is just sitting back there, and I could be praying for it and demanding it and wanting it and all that. And who's got the problem then? It's clearly me. So, and the universe is sitting back there in smiling repose. If we're not getting what we want when we want it, then it's obviously not the right thing for us at the time. And so trust life, Louise Hay would say, right? That's the message for tonight. Trust life. It's all working out, and it's working out for you. This teaching, if you practice it, will free you from most of the obstacles that cause pain and suffering. You can heal your life, as Louise Hay stated, and that was the book she wrote, if you really want to. And I could go on with this lesson because I have another 30 pages, but I think this would be a great place to stop, and we'll take a 2-minute break, and then I can hear how all of you are trusting life. So give us a moment or two, and we'll be right back. Thank you. Have, and you see what you don't have, and there's a sense of I'm better or I'm not good enough, and all of that starts happening. And unknowingly, you were buying into that, and invariably, you came up to the place where there was something missing, something wrong with you. And depending upon your circumstances, you might even have a sense of shame about who you are and who your family is and what they possess and what they don't have. So in comes shame, and then we have a sense of justice and injustice and right and wrong, and all of that stuff happens to us along the way. And if you're steeped in religion, you might think some of the things that you've done are unforgivable. After all, many of the faiths would say you were born in sin, original sin. And so all this stuff is being heaped on young people. My consciousness can be thought of as my awareness. All that I'm consciously aware of, and a lot of what I'm not consciously aware